Hello, I'm Full Paragon, and this is your somewhat tardy guide to the dungeon for the Danmachi collab. This dungeon consists of 5 floors. The first 2 are weak to wind, then 2 that are weak to fire, and then a boss floor who is weak to wind. The key units for the wind enemies are Eyes, Silu, Wind Mitsu, and Rind. Key units for fire weak enemies are Christmas Wiz, Silo again, and Christmas Darkness. You can clear with other teams, but it gets increasingly hard the fewer meta units you have. Without masks invested units, those are units with full trials, max affinity, and max skills, and with good gear, it is very, very difficult to 4-star this dungeon, but it's not impossible. Even if you can't 4-star it, do your best to clear all of the advanced floors as they give the most rewards. Floor 1 is weak to wind and it has 3 enemies. There are 2 snails and a skeleton. The snails have low damage but a lot of health and can give defensive buffs. The skeleton deals more damage, so kill him first. Quickly kill one snail and then slowly basic down the other one, building as much alt gauge charge as possible while keeping your team topped off. Don't time out, but as much as possible, you want to go into the next gauge with your skills ready to use, that is, your action gauge is fully filled, as well as your alt gauge fully filled, as the next stage is much harder. The second floor has 2 Minotaurs, and they hit extremely hard. Make sure you have healing ready coming into this floor, and if possible, some sort of defensive buff to help keep your team alive. If you need to between floors, you can alter your order so that you're using a character who isn't going to be instantly killed. If you're using Chris, have her ult ready, or use Rin's agility down to reduce the amount of damage that your team is taking. If you're having trouble, you can try a double healer strategy using 2 characters like Silo or Cafe Cecily to keep your health topped off, but be cautious and make sure that you don't time out. You can't just turtle here. My team recommendations for the first 2 floors is to use Wind Mitsurugi, Eyes, and Silo. If you don't have those characters, other good choices are Original Chris, Welfare Rin, or Maid Amy. The reason that you need Silo or Amy instead of Cecily is quite simple. You're going to be taking a ton of damage, especially from the Minotaurs, which means you'll need 2 skills that can heal, both a regular skill and the ultimate. Cecily lacks a healing ultimate, meaning that she has a much harder time keeping a team up. The reason you want to use Eyes or Rin is they both deal a lot of damage quickly, allowing you to take out the enemies before you yourself are taken out. Chris is a good choice because she's able to use her ultimate to slow the enemies down, and there's a low chance she could bind. Mitsurugi is sturdier, and he has an ultimate that can heal, which can help keep your team up. I have some other good choices listed here, including Darkness for a tank, whether you're talking Swimsuit Darkness or Christmas Darkness, or in a last-ditch case, Maid Mia, as she's fairly sturdy as well, although you will need to invest in her for her to be able to survive the Minotaurs. Good GPS choices include Onsen Union, Kenpo Erica, and Danmachi Aqua as a battery. However, keep in mind that if you choose a wind character, you're not going to be able to use a fire card for them on the other floors. This is especially relevant with Union, as Halloween Union is extremely good. You also, unfortunately, can't use both Swimsuit and Christmas Darkness and will need to pick one. I think Christmas Darkness is probably overall better on later floors, but Swimsuit Darkness does a better job of mitigating the Minotaur's damage. For healers, I would choose first Silo, obviously, but if you don't have her, Cafe Cecily is a decent option. You can try and use Welfare Silo, although because she's not wind, she's going to struggle more, but she does still have a defensive buff and 2 heals. You can try and use Amelia, but the problem you'll run into is not only she is off element, but she only has the 1 heal, which makes it hard for her to keep a team alive. Floor 3 consists of a wolf, troll, and squirrel. The wolf and troll being mini-bosses, while the squirrel is more or less a regular mob. If you have Christmas Wiz, this is a fairly easy floor, as she can control the bosses who have long, slow attacks that hit hard. If you don't have her, this becomes very difficult. Kill the squirrel quickly as it has low health and it's mostly annoying. After that, focus on either the wolf or the troll. Both have large AoE supers when their gauge fills, and if both of them go off, it will most likely wipe your team. If you can, once you've killed 2 of the enemies, farm the last one for a little bit of gauge for the next level. The 4th floor has a wind wyvern and lizard. Kill the lizard quickly. It has low health, but it can also put out a lot of AoE damage. The wyvern has a magic damage AoE ultimate that hits pretty hard. Either eliminate it quickly or slow it down and then take the time to heal your team up. After this floor is the boss, so make sure you choose a potion that will give you maximum benefit after clearing this floor. Healing, damage reduction, or even a quick gauge fill can make the difference for the final boss. Don't try and farm too much gauge on the wyvern, as you'll need to switch from fire characters to wind characters against the boss, as well as the fact that wyvern hits hard enough that this can be a rather risky proposition. My recommended teams for floors 4 and 5 consist of Christmas Darkness, Christmas Wiz, and CeeLo as being the first recommended team. For the second team, you can try Christmas Wiz, then Halloween Union, and then Cafe Cecily. You can swap those 2 around if you're able to and use both of them, as you don't want to stall out on the floor, and it can allow you to take an injured character and put them in the rear. If you don't have the limited characters, you can try using Snow Mitsurugi, Belle, and CeeLo, although this team will struggle much more as it doesn't have as much damage reduction, and it also lacks Wiz's ability to slow the enemies down and control them more easily. And now we come to the 5th floor where the boss resides, Asterius, the red Minotaur. You need to have a very tanky adventurer, such as Mitsurugi or Darkness, to be able to survive his hits, or you need a boost to health or damage reduction for other characters to survive even a single hit. His AoE attack is capable of one-shotting off-element adventurers who have no defensive buffs. Even characters like Eyes or Wiz are very susceptible to being absolutely demolished by Asterius' AoE if they're not at full health or have defensive buffs. It's vital here to have a plan. You either need to immediately use an agility down to control the boss, have defense abilities that you can use to prevent him from hitting as hard, or have heals ready to go to heal up immediately after each hit. Even then, you don't have very long, as the damage will quickly mount up. All of his damage is physical, which means that using CeeLo's skill to reduce incoming damage by buffing your defense is absolutely vital. You can use Wizmas or Chris to control him, and it's extremely helpful. An alternative is using Rin, although her tier 2 agility down just isn't as good. You also will need Eyes or Rin to kill him before he kills you, as this boss simply cannot be out-healed with our currently available pool of adventurers. Going into the boss room, I've had the most success with a team that consisted of Wind Mitsurugi, Eyes, and CeeLo. I've also had some success using Christmas Darkness, Rin, and CeeLo. I've even had some minor success using Christmas Wiz Front, along with Eyes and Wind Cecily. I will, however, note that Christmas Wiz pretty much invariably dies in that last setup, so be prepared to use her as a sacrificial unit. As for the back line, just use anyone that you have left. You can keep trying until all of your adventurers have fainted, which in the case of this boss might be what needs to happen. Do remember though, you can only lose one adventurer for the entire run if you wish to 4-star. Even if you can't 4-star, it's worth it to continue to clear expert mode, as the rewards are much better than the other 2 difficulties. That's the video, thanks for watching. I apologize once more for how long this guide took to get out. I was simply quite busy this past week and didn't have as much time to prep as I would have liked. If you're looking for gameplay example videos to show exactly how to take down this dungeon, I did several streams, and the last of which I did manage to 4-star this dungeon. It is quite difficult, but don't give up, and good luck on your last couple tries in the Danmachi dungeon.